Good afternoon, Chairman, City Councillors, City Administration, fellow members of the public and stakeholders. My name is Bill Black. I'm the President and COO of the Calgary Construction Association, and following on from my colleague Frano Cavar, I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts about this project as it potentially moves into its next phase. I myself have worked in the construction industry for 42 years, and I know it shows. This month, in fact, is my 42nd anniversary. Most of my career has been spent in cost management as a quantity surveyor, estimator, and a lot of my work took me through the pre-construction stages of projects. And we've seen a great presentation as to the what. I think Calgarians and many people in this room are committed to the why. But the how is the part that often falls together over time. And I just wanted to give a little bit of thoughts for the committee to consider in these next stages, because it's my experience that the design and pre-construction phases of a contract will determine its success, but if poorly done, will guarantee challenges or in some cases worse. When major projects are in the early stages, they're often driven by the budgets that people want to spend before the actual needs are well developed. And the early numbers are published, and however preliminary they might be, they tend to become permanently entrenched. When I sat in 1981 in my first quantity surveying course in Edinburgh, we were told the client always remembers the first number you tell them. They'll forget every other aspect of you, but they'll remember that number to 2 decimal places. And our client is Calgary and Calgarians. So if we're going to make these claims and numbers, we do need to think about moving forward in a way that will protect that. There's been a tendency to rely a lot on very sequential project delivery method, i.e. design, bid, then build. The problem is, in that model, constructors are brought in very late in the process through a bidding process after many key decisions have already been made, and they're very hard to reverse. This means that their expertise in terms of constructability, scheduling, technical and real cost is not realized until late in the process, and now it's difficult to make major changes in design and scope without delaying and or reducing the quality of the project to bring it in below a threshold. When the planned building is a non-standard and more complex building as this is not a grocery store. These risks are significantly enhanced because you're dealing with unusual construction, you're very, very purpose-built building. And over recent years, we've also seen that the predictability we used to have in construction cost, lead times, access to resources can fall apart very, very quickly, and it still isn't back on track, and therefore making long-term predictions is a lot harder. The methodology that was recognized many years ago by a principal architect with the HOK organization, Patrick McLeamy, shows as a very well-cited graph, which some have maybe seen, that shows that the earlier you are involved in a project, the more influence you have on its outcomes, and the later you get involved, the less chance you can change the outcome. Further you get into project cycle, the harder it is to change, and therefore the knowledge is needed at the table early. A budget can be validated early, design changes can be made quickly if cost problems are recognized, or costs can be worked if design challenges emerge to protect the outcome. There are a number of project delivery methods out there. Construction management, progressive design build, integrated project delivery, and I could go on for about an hour and a half on the merits of each. The only thing I will say is the one thing they all have in common is earlier engagement of key stakeholders such as builders, constructors, trades, and even suppliers. And in addition to the design consultants, the builders and these other stakeholders can bring their expertise in a design assist manner. They can help focus in on target cost design decisions and protect the outcome for all stakeholders. Overall, the construction industry is able to partner in all these levels, and we at the CCA would be happy to facilitate any additional information that would help the how be very well thought out here before things get set in place that will be hard to reverse later. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the conversation and for the invitation to speak. As Calgarians and city builders, we at the CCA and our members look forward to the success of the Fieldhouse project, and yet another reason that Calgary is the best city in the world to live, work, play, and make a life in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Black. We actually have a question for you, so if you want to stay up at the podium, it's from Councillor Wong. Please go ahead, Councillor Wong.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Black. I think you're echoing a lot of things I believe in, which is you have to do the right things, do it in the right way, deliver value. If you miss that, then you're not fulfilling targets. You make reference to the design, bid, construction having the potential of, not necessarily meeting a target in terms of what you plan for. What's in your, 40 odd years of experience, what's the probability or what's the frequency that we actually are off, and how much are we off by using that design, bid, construct approach?
Statistics that have been utilized across North America, so very broad brush, and it's average of all projects. The more, as I said earlier, the more specialized the project, the higher the risks are. 30 to 40% or more of projects go significantly over budget and or schedule in the general delivery methodologies that across the continent.
And by how much are they over?
It differs based on the type of project and the type of dollars, but I would say that 30% is not a bad average for complex projects that will and can go over budget if things are not controlled early enough.
Okay. And you talked about alternative approaches. Is the construction industry moving towards the other approaches, working with designers right up front?
Well, the construction industry has been engaging in all these methodologies in various levels for many years. The construction industry probably would have a preference for them because of that early involvement and ability to contribute some specialized knowledge in addition to the design professionals. It's very much driven by the owners and their willingness to recognize the merits of more collaborative models.
Great. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You actually have a second question, this time from Councillor Spencer. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Bill, just a quick follow-up to that line of questioning from Councillor Wong. Could you outline really briefly what it would look like to have that kind of collaborative conversation ahead of time? Is that would be essentially setting a round table with folks in administration? Can you give me just a sense of what that could potentially look like?
Well, I would say initially there could be preliminary conversations that are highly conceptual and more open, but then I think consideration would need to be given to actually bringing an entity on board in a controlled phase of pre-construction advisory related to cost, constructability and other technical matters. That could be a contained with an end gate that is purely there to bring a robust level of dependability to that pre-construction phase, and then would end at the end of that phase, which would then obviously enter a more robust process towards actual construction and delivery. Or, as has been done in many major projects in other parts of the world, select that team now, have them validate the cost as being reasonable for a building of this nature, and engage in a highly transparent process to actually go through a gatekeeped methodology all the way through to completion, where your early advisors now have skin in the game because they are making predictions and contributing to cost targets that they themselves will actually have to live up to.
Okay, so I mean, that would be somewhat similar to like the Green Line board, where like you've brought in industry experts and on sizable projects, and they have line of sight on those kinds of details. Would that be somewhat accurate?
Yes, that is currently following a progressive design build model, which has these characteristics.
Perfect. Thank you very much. No further questions, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Spencer. That's all the questions we have for you, Bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again.